see how we go,
Yeah,
shall we?
Guesswork.
The form of departmentalisation in which workers are grouped together according to the similarity of products, services or markets rather than the type of work is called the hybrid structure. True or false?
Oh, but false.
But why?
Because that in a hybrid structure involved in just one sort of set.
What type of structure is it?
I thought hybrid was normally one.
Yes,
But
it is. Hybrid is when you join functional and divisional together. Okay, and you have both functional and divisional. Okay, so what is that one describing? It's just
Functional.
just divisional. Functional is when they're grouped by the type of work they're doing, so the HR, the marketing, accounting. Divisional is when they're grouped by products or services or geographic location, all those sorts of things. Okay, so they're describing a divisional. So your answer is correct. You just need to know how to justify why. With both, when both functional and divisional elements are combined at the same management level, the most likely departmentalisation form is a hybrid structure. True or false?
True.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you can have a hybrid as, yeah, you know, basically you might have a director of the South Island and a director of marketing. So that's, you've got a divisional and a functional structure. And so that can be hybrid. But you could also have that as a matrix structure where you've got two reporting lines and you're reporting to by the functional and by the divisional structures as well. So that's another way of combining them. It would be most correct to say that the chain of command is the unbroken line of what? Linking individuals to the top of the organisation.
Communication.
I put authority.
They're both correct, really. It's authority. We talk about it as the chain of command, chain of authority, but it is a communication is a big factor of it as well, because that's how we communicate usually. Is if it's a formalised organisation, we will communicate via those channels. Formalisation, span of management consideration, centralisation, decentralisation, and designation line and staff positions are important, and they represent what?
I didn't have an answer.
Didn't you answer?
I put A, but that was like a stab in the dark.
Stab in the back, yeah.
Yeah.
It's B. It's around vertical coordination. Okay, so it's about how do we coordinate people within the organisation. So formalisation is about rules, policies, procedures. Span of management is about the number of people reporting to each manager. Centralisation is about whether we hold decision making at the top of the organisation or whether we delegate decision making down the organisation. So that's all thinking about how do we coordinate between the lowest levels of the organisation and the higher levels of the organisation. Okay. Horizontal coordination is when we coordinate across the different departments. Policies, rules, procedures, job descriptions, they are all used to achieve B, formalisation.
Oh, yeah, not the lead,
Right
sorry.
there. And yes, all the answers could be B, they could be correct. It's a BBB, formalisation, yeah, that's what formalisation is all about. The span of management is determined by what?
I put A.
That's correct.
I put D.
Well, that is kind of correct too.
Maybe
A is the correct answer. So it is about the span of management is about the number of employees each manager is, managing. How many direct reports does each manager have? What it affects is the shape and height of the organisation. Okay, so the flow-on effect is if we have a wide span of management, we have a flat organisation structure. If we have a narrow span of management, we will have a taller organisation structure. So it affects the shape of the structure, and it affects the interaction between supervisors and subordinates, because the more people you're managing, the less direct control you're going to have with each individual. Okay, so and the fewer people you're managing, the more you're going to be able to have frequent, consistent communication with each other. So yeah, A would be your technical answer, but I can see why you'd go for that too. Which of the following would best reflect the benefits of centralisation?
I've got B.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly. Because all of the others are the advantages of decentralisation. Yeah. So if we hold the decision making at the top level, then we can coordinate what everybody's doing much better. But decision making is going to be slower and people are going to feel frustrated.
Yeah.
Which of the following would best reflect the benefits of decentralisation?
B.
Good. There's faster decision making at lower levels. We can get things done a bit more easily because we can make those decisions. But there might be duplication of effort and resources because the left arm doesn't know what the right arm is doing because we haven't got overarching control over what's happening. A manager can make decisions in regard to hiring staff, assigning jobs, or ordering required supplies, but they have to justify major changes. What is that known as?
I've got C.
That's
Yeah, this is a whole lot of jargon around today.
Yeah.
Essentially, a manager will have, can make decisions and they can delegate those decisions, but they still have to justify major changes. They're still accountable. Okay, so that means they have that accountability, even though they can delegate the authority to, or the responsibility
A, C, and D.
to somebody else. Yeah. Significant, having to explain the deviations from the expected standard, that's retaining accountability. So D is the technical correct answer. But yeah, just in your textbook, down the side, on one of those pages, it had all of those little tech words spelled out, defined quite well, actually, what the difference was. Why are managers sometimes reluctant to delegate to their subordinates, which is not one of the reasons?
Which is
Not
one.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's true. I know.
Oh.
So managers might,
C.
good. Hang on.
But.
No, hang on, no, not C. Managers might not delegate because they might feel like they don't get in trouble if the subordinate fails. So managers might feel threatened if their subordinates perform too well, so they might delegate to their subordinates because of that. And they might feel like they haven't got enough time and knowledge to delegate. It's actually just easier to do it yourself sometimes rather than to teach and show somebody else what they need to do. So the answer is B. It's not usually that supervisors are insisting they don't delegate. Unless you're in a really strictly centralised organisation and they're saying, no, you can't delegate this. Usually it's because of those sort of fears of inadequacy or time or uncertainty of what's involved. Yeah? Easier just to do it myself than to delegate it to somebody who may not be able to do it properly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all about organisation structure. Any questions? No. So this week we're going to look at leadership, but before we do, assignment 2 was due Sunday. How are we going?
Not gonna lie. I'm not finished.
Not finished. You've started. That's a bonus.
Yeah.
Let's look on the bright side. Okay. So when are we going to, what's a realistic time frame for having it handed in, do you think?
I'd say for May, the end of the weekend.
End of the weekend.
I'll take whatever. Like.
Okay, so if I've got it by first thing Monday morning, 9 o'clock Monday morning.
Yeah.
Okay, the main problem is that we've got the third assignment that you need to get started on.
You don't want to do 2 at the same time.
And you don't want to be working on 2 at the same time.
Yes.
So the longer we extend it out, you know, the less time you have for the next one. So, your course end date is around the 22nd of June, and there can be a little bit of you know, going beyond that, Ian's going to have to do the marking, so it won't be me if I'm not here, basically. But there will be pressure to get results into the system and things soon after the courting date as possible. So my worry is you've got that assignment, you've got the third assignment, and you've got all of the course form. There aren't too many course form posts for this course, but you still need to do them.
Yeah.
You still need to get at least 50% in that assessment. So if you haven't kept up with them, you have to go back and do all of them. Alright, so there's quite a bit of work still to go. Even if you can chip away, it might just go, right, okay, I'll just do one course forum post today and assessment, you know, get the assessment too by the Monday 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really need to keep on track with that. Okay,
Sure.
because you've got lots of other ones to do.
Lots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots.
Probably you than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're struggling with it,
I am.
yeah. Okay. If you're struggling with it, then come and see me. Like, make time to come and see me and talk it through. I remember David Mason's available to talk it through as well.
Oh yeah.
He's got the copy of the assignment. He's familiar with that sort of the content for it as well. So, you know, go and have a chat with him. You know where his office is? Behind Jodie's office.
Oh yeah, that's right. Just to say that last time.
Okay, so try and get a time with him.
I think he's going to surgery. Oh no, it's not until that's not.
Oh, yeah, he was being
It
surgery.
was, but it changed again.
It's not supposed to talk, but you know, aside from that, he'll help you out.
Write things down.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, use us, you know, like don't sit there and go, I can't do this. Come and see us, or send through what you've got so that we can provide you some feedback on it. That's what we're here for, you know, we're not just here for the 1 hour a week, we're here for the whole day. Okay? Alright. Alright, now we've had the lecture, let's move on with the lecture. Alright, this week we're going to look at leadership. So did you do the leadership paper at all? No, you
No, I just did the marketing by behaviour and small business.
Okay.
And all that.
Alright, so that's fine. So there won't be much double up here for you. Leadership is a huge topic though, okay? So just to throw that out there, you know, you can obviously do whole qualifications just on leadership. And, you know, if you carry on to do the level 6 in this, is there a level 5 leadership paper?
I don't know what the next 4 papers are. I'm not sure.
There's definitely a level 6 leadership paper, but for semester 2 for this qual, what have you got? You've got business communications, they're all in there already, quality management, workplace relationships, and introduction to leadership. Okay, so well, yes, there's a whole paper there on leadership that you're going to cover anyway. So really, we could probably just go home now. But you're probably going to have to answer something in an assignment about this, or in the course forum post. And it's an interesting topic, and it's good to get a bit of a taste for it anyway. So we're just going to touch on it briefly, is what I'm saying. I guess we'll look a little bit at what is the difference between leadership and management, and what capabilities are involved, and some myths about leadership. So it's really just introducing key ideas. So leadership, if you're wanting a definition, you can find a million of them probably. Probably there's a whole chapter on leadership in the textbook that you'd have there. And there'll be, lots online as well, obviously. But the ability to develop and articulate a vision of the future for the organisation, to motivate others to buy into that vision and to get it implemented. Is there anything that stands out for you in that definition of leadership?
The motivating others to buy into the vision.
Vision, yeah. So motivation is really a huge part of the leadership function. So when we looked at that initially, it was like, it's about motivating people, getting people to be inspired and participate and go above and beyond what's required of them essentially. And so you can kind of make this distinction between management and leadership. some people use them interchangeably, but they're, there's management tasks which are, focused around policies, procedures, using the authority to get things done, instructing others about what to do, monitoring and controlling, and trying to get the best out of people. Whereas when we talk about leadership, we often start to talk more about this sort of inspirational, transformational leadership, inspiring people, guiding people, coaching people, having credibility and using that credibility to gain people's respect and, and have influence on people. So a big part of leadership is about influencing people as well, somehow.
So I guess that management is more task focused and leadership is more like the personal.
Yeah, you could look at it like that, sure, yeah. Ultimately, if you're in a management position, you're in a leadership position, yeah? But you may end up being a leader and not necessarily being in a management position, if that makes sense. You might be able to think of people in the organisation who step up and act as leaders, even if they're not necessarily in a formal management position. And that sort of starts to go into the informal and formal communication networks that are happening within the organisation anyway. And what do you think it is that makes people a good leader?
I think it's the ability to communicate effectively. I think it's like the presence they have among people and what we can give.
And it's that understanding of people's skills, I guess, and realising that people are humans and not just there to work. They understand empathy and like that stuff.
Sure, yeah. So having the people skills is really important, And so it's where management is really, like that task focus, getting things done, sticking to the rules, doing what has to happen, is a little bit different to the people focus where we look at, actually we know that to get people to engage in the tasks, we need to have their respect, we need to inspire them, we need to look at what's happening for them and be able to deal with that as well. So, yeah, sure. Also, can you think of who's the most influential leader that you've encountered? This could be, internationally or in New Zealand or in your personal life, or who would you describe as a really influential leader?
Princess Diana,
Yeah,
when I was younger.
Oh, of course.
Idol, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's the one
Why was she an effective leader?
I feel like because she inspired people to do
Yeah.
good things, I guess.
Be better people, do
Yeah.
good things.
She's
do
quite
good
respectful
work.
of everybody without, she understood how to get something done without having to belittle people or degrade people. She respected
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you sort of think of Princess Diana as kind of a meek kind of a person in some ways, and yet, you wouldn't necessarily say that somebody like that could be an influential leader, and yet she was an influential leader by virtue of perhaps her position, and by the fact that she was, what's that word? Not meek, but.
I guess people mistake kindness for weakness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you respect people, that tends to be.
She was humble.
Yeah.
That's I think the word I'm looking for. Yeah. So she had that. She was humble and yet powerful in what she chose to do and spend her time doing.
Yeah.
Can't think of anyone.
Which is bad. Nobody's coming to mind.
Yeah. Okay. Come on. What about Hitler? Somebody usually comes up with Hitler.
It was very influential.
It was extremely influential,
Yeah.
look at You know, sometimes when you talk about leadership, you talk about followership, and then what people are prepared to do as followers. And he just had the most amazing followership, really. And how did he get there? Not from being meek and humble, that's for sure. Or kind.
Yeah.
Meek, humble and kind. No, he got there from being, what? Forceful,
Yeah.
strict,
Somewhat intelligent.
highly intelligent. Yeah. Did he have charisma?
I think he did.
Yeah.
Did he?
I'd say so, but I wouldn't really,
Yeah.
because it's hard to say that you don't have like videos of him. Yeah. But
So they talk about these sources of power, the sources of leader power. Where do you get your power from? You know, you get your power from being having expert knowledge. Okay, so you might have expert knowledge in a particular area, and people look up to that. You might have legitimate power, so position within an organisation. So you might be the chief executive, that gives you power, or even a manager, a line manager gives you power over somebody's employment. You might have, there's also coercive power, so that's something that Hitler certainly had, the ability to coerce or punish or reward, to make life miserable for people. That gives you a degree of power, not necessarily in a positive, but it still gives that power. What are the other ones? There was, it's in the book. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Sources of leader power. It's about 8 of them, I think. Can you think of anything else? What else? What just logically come to mind?
is in a source of leader power.
Yeah.
His experience, like
Manipulation.
Okay. Page 453. Legitimate power, reward power, coercive power, expert power. Oh, there we go. Information power. So that's sort of ties in with the expert power and what you're saying about having the knowledge and things. Referent power is where you actually have some of those personal attributes with, like, you're liked by people.
Oh, yeah.
So Diana had that referent power that people actually just liked her. So those are some of the sources that you can get power from. And some are more powerful than others. Like having expert power and referent power are probably more useful than having coercive power. And legitimate power, you know, because if you've got legitimate power and coercive power, then yes, we'll follow you, but we resent it.
Yeah.
If you've got referent power and expert power, we'll follow you because we think it's the right thing to do. And that in that situation, we'll go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Okay. So they talk about the difference between transactional and transformational leaders as well. And transactional leaders get people to perform to the expected standard and expected requirements, whereas transformational leaders can get people to go above and beyond the call of duty, you know, to put in the 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the passion, the commitment, that really does make an organisation extremely successful if you can get that going. If you can get people committed to that level. Now, there's the video, and I don't know the page. Let's just see. There's a book in the library called Sir Peter Blake on leadership. It's a really good read. And there's a video at the back of it, which is really quite an interesting video, where he talks about, you might be able to get it. Yeah.
Is it not working on the computer?
I'll just have a look, might be. I didn't have to plug it into the volume. That's, you guys are probably a bit young, but he was a bit of a, and you know, you're a bit British, but he was a pretty inspirational leader within the New Zealand context. You know, so he's definitely. We'll just watch a little bit of it.
Which has happened naturally. I think you'll find that will be the case in most situations. Probably it'll be someone who sort of seems to fit, or people trust because of their experience. But experience doesn't mean that you're a leader. You can probably sail around the world more times than most people and still not be a leader at all, and probably not necessarily want to be a leader. So it's undefined, probably undefinable qualities, or whatever the right word is, that will make a leader. Maybe little nuances in their speech, maybe the fact that they say thank you to the team from time to time, maybe because they involve everybody, maybe because they trust people, maybe because they don't do the dirty on them ever. These little things that they keep their word. Someone does something wrong, you give them a bit of a kick, and then they're back into the fold again, not ostracised. All these little things, and you add them all up, I think that's what makes, to me anyway, makes a really good leader. I have some very good people around me. So it's not just me, it's a lot of other people involved. But I think it's just having the ability to listen and then endeavour to make a decision that is agreed to by everyone concerned, everyone lives with that decision and backs that decision up. So that's management-wise and leadership-wise as well, really. Able to listen, very important. Able to let go, able to delegate, and then believe what you hear or not believe what you hear, as the case may be. Able to identify when people have got a problem, getting people to talk. We always encourage, I've always encouraged people who have been with me, or be on a yacht or America's Cup or whatever, to actually have a say in proceedings. And if they've got a problem with their flatmate or girlfriend, it doesn't matter. There's someone who will listen to them. It might be me, it might be the PR guy, it might be the skipper of the boat, it might be their best friend. But encourage people to say what they think. As soon as people start bottling problems up, that's when difficulties occur. So just this encouragement of, all in it together. We all want the same thing. We're all going to put the blinkers on. This is the aim, this is the goal. There's no hidden agendas, boys. Egos, please put all egos away. And everyone's got egos, just as well we have. But we can't have egos taking over totally. And so it's for the good of the team. Perhaps the leader might be the person who has the most vivid dream of the lot and really believes in it and wants it and is prepared to put more things to one side and put the blinkers on and hammer down that road to try and get success and then gather people around, mainly because the leader might be the person that really believes in it the most. Identify the key people and why they're necessary, or the first couple of key people, and then let them help identify the next tier, and all those people then start identifying or having an involvement on who else is then brought into the campaign. And so we'll maybe have 8 or 10 real key people. They are the people that need to be involved in putting the plan into place, because otherwise it's not their plan. Otherwise, why have their expertise? You back into a do this or do that type approach. Much better to say, what do you guys think? Suddenly, rather than being Peter Blake's project, it's their project. And I can't stress that enough. That is just everything. Otherwise, why have their expertise? You back into a do this or do that type approach. But it's quite hard to do.
Okay, that'll do it.
To me.
It's okay. cutting out, but you get the idea, I guess. What were some of the key points that he was saying about expertise in leadership?
And making sure that everyone's on board, everyone's going to be affected by a decision.
Yep.
Community.
I quite like the piece of like making sure you have the right key people, and then they kind of choose the key people, like while sharing the same vision.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's
Really important, and the other good thing with leadership is if you know what your weaknesses are, surround yourself with people who fill that gap in the leadership. If you're strong in accounting but poor in HR, then get somebody, a really good HR person as your wingman, the wing person, sorry, gender neutral, and have that person, so you fill your weaknesses and make sure you surround yourself with people who have the expertise that you need to boost you up rather than bring you down, if you're wanting to watch the whole thing, have a look at the thing in the library. It's interesting because there's a whole history of there's a whole history of leadership study and thought that goes behind this, and so Peter Blake comes at it from a intuitive gut level, never being trained on leadership type academic leadership theory approaches. But the academic leadership theory has evolved over a long period of time. In the 19th and 20th century, it was this philosophy that leaders are born, not made. So it's about which family you're born into. You got to be a captain in the military based on which family you were in, not based on any of your particular strengths or attributes whatsoever. Then that started to change in the 20th century, and they said it's not inherited. We've got to think about personal traits, and trait theory became really important. So there were lots of things that were looked at to see, well, is it your personality, is it your social skills, is it your height? There was a whole theory there at some point that height and leadership expertise were correlated. And there's lots of research behind some of this. And there were some of those traits that are quite, they did sort of come out and look at as being quite important, but they also started to move into thinking about, actually it's about what leaders do, so it's about behaviours more than about their maybe personality per se. So let's focus on the behaviours that they're engaging with. And so they looked there at the difference between sort of task-focused leaders and people-focused leaders. And so kind of what you were talking about before, but there is a real, and you may have had a manager who's like this before or not, but some just really focus on getting the task done, achieving the goals, achieving the objectives, and others who might be more inclined to look at the people side and be more considerate of what's happening with people's needs and what's motivating them and so forth. So, there's this sort of and getting, that whole idea of getting people involved in decision making, autocratic versus democratic. So there was a real focus on sort of people versus task focused behaviours. And then there's been a whole movement around situational leadership theory. i.e. it's not about your personality and it's not about what you do, but it's about what you do in a given situation. And so we actually recognise that leaders adapt to their behaviour depending on what's going on in the situation, and that's what makes an effective leader. So you modify between democratic and autocratic, consultative, whatever, depending on what's happening in that specific scenario. And to be an effective leader, you need to know how to do that. So you'll probably look at all those theories in the leadership paper in semester 2. But it's just to give you a bit of a quick overview that how we study leadership has really sort of changed over time, I guess. Yeah. And it continues to do so, it continues to evolve. They're still trying to find what makes the ideal leader, I guess.
Yeah.
So, oh, here we go, there's my sources of leader power, I did have them in there. Ugh, what do you know? So there's another model here, Collins Level 5 Leadership Model. So this one is one that received quite a bit of support from businesses. And it's basically saying that, at level 5 is where you have that high level leadership ability and capability. And level 5 tends to be sort of executive level, so people who build enduring greatness through personal humility plus professional will. So, they have that balance of the humility side of it, but also that they're really determined and committed to the cause. An effective leader, level 4, they are also sort of quite compelling and get people to buy into the vision, and they get people engaged in achieving the performance standards to a high level. Level 3 is a competent manager, can organise people and resources to achieve outcomes, so that's what you want from most of your first-line managers and middle managers. Contributing team member is where you can contribute to the group objectives, work with others in the group setting. And level 1 is where you're a highly productive and capable individual. You've got good work habits, good knowledge, skills, abilities. So essentially, we can move up through those different levels. And they don't necessarily need to be sequential, but essentially we sort of do need to go through those phases to get to that top level of executives and leadership ability. The challenge might be where you might get people who are in executive positions who haven't necessarily achieved executive leadership capability, and vice versa, I guess. So that's one model. What leadership is not, there are a few in your material on Moodle, if you've looked through it. There are a few myths of leadership. The myth of omnipotence. This is the one where thinking you can tell anyone on the team to do practically anything and they'll hop and do it with a grin and a nod, You're not all powerful, you're not necessarily going to be, people are not going to jump at your every word, basically. So you're not going to have that all power that you might think of. It comes with leadership. The myth of omniscience is the belief that the leader means knowing everything about everything. The leader's not going to necessarily know everything about everything. As Sir Peter Blake said, you may actually need to recognise, I don't know enough about trigonometry, I'll get a trigonometry specialist on board to help with that particular part of the work. And the myth of omni-adrenaline. A belief that excellent execution from a team demands adrenaline surges, rousing speeches and lots of shouting. Movies have sort of sensationalised leadership and shown us these amazing moments where people have sort of, brought about that physiological arousal of people through those momentous speeches. And yes, that can happen, but it's not necessarily an essential part of leadership. It can happen through our more meek and humble leaders also, essentially.
I guess because leadership is not having the godlike mentality, thinking
That's right, yeah.
control.
You don't know everything, you're not going to have all the power necessarily, you're not going to, a good leader may or may not have some of those things, but it's not essential. That's sort of, we've got to look at what is really important, and it's about what people actually do, and how they treat people, where they get their sources of power from, those sorts of factors. Any questions? So there is couple of readings that go alongside of this one. For you to have a look at and online. Treasurer's Board management. And we won't look at this third assessment just yet. Because I don't want you guys to start panicking, or I might just have a quick look at it. Because maybe I do want you to panic a little bit. But the next one, the last one, you have to look at control in an organisation and then bring in a discussion around leadership and management within that. Okay, so next week we cover the topic of control. That's the last class. Okay.
This last class completely.
Then from there on we can just focus on the assessment, getting the assessment work done. Okay. Probably easiest just to do that one-on-one with each of you, unless you wanted specifically to meet up, but
Yeah.
we've got different time schedules, so
Yeah.
just, yeah, that one's worth 35% of your final mark, so make sure you leave yourself enough time for that one as well, okay, so 2,000 words. So, yeah, important that we have that last class next week, where we look at controlling.
Yeah.
And then you will have already handed in assignment 2, and you can knuckle down with assignment 3 and get that done and dusted in a week or 2.
Yeah.
Okay? I appreciate it. You didn't want holidays or weekends or nights? No? No. I signed up to be students. Okay.